Hi, I'm Carmen DeGiovane, and welcome to HRS 5200, Assistive Technology for Seating and Mobility. This is a course within the Assistive and Rehabilitative Technology Certificate Program and was developed in collaboration with the School of Health and Rehabilitation Sciences and the Office of Distance Education and E-Learning. All right, we're on to Module 3, Pressure Management. But before I get to Module 3, I want to go back and talk a little bit about Module 2, Seating and Mobility Service Delivery Process. Of course, I'm sure you recognize that it parallels the service delivery process that was described in Cook, Polgar, and in Karchow in the 2020 textbook, Assistive Technology Principles and Practices. I'll be referencing the service delivery throughout the rest of the service delivery process throughout the rest of the course. So just keep an eye and an ear, I guess, out for how I bring the service delivery process into the course. One thing I want to highlight is, I hope you took a look at the standards of practice and code of ethics. We'll have an assessment on that or a quiz on that a little bit later on. But one of the things that I just want to talk about is how important the standards of practice are. The standards of practice are the foundation for the assistive technology profession, or the ATP profession. And I'm actually giving a presentation at the International Seating Symposium next week with a couple colleagues, Julie Piriano and Mike Seidel, about the code of ethics and how we use the code of ethics at RESNA. Specifically, when we have individuals who may not be following the code of ethics and we get complaints to our complaints review committee. So it does happen. So the code of ethics are an important thing that we use every day in our profession, whether or not we realize it. The other thing I want to point out is I just want to talk quickly about the discussion, Kelly's video. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope this time you took a different perspective on how Kelly uses assistive technology, specifically focusing on her seating and mobility system. If you noticed, and I hope you did, that I only had you write up a discussion post about the environment and the technology, because that's what I wanted you to focus on as we got started. Get the pumps primed in terms of really going into a full-scale discussion and a full-scale assessment, which we'll be doing in Module 3. Okay, moving on to Module 3, pressure management. This is such an important part that once again comes up throughout the service delivery process. When you think of pressure management, oftentimes you're thinking of a pressure mapping system, which we often use during an evaluation. So at that evaluation step of the service delivery process. This is one of my favorite modules, but of course I say that a lot in this course. I like this module because it appeals to the engineer in me. There's a lot of numbers, a lot of quantitative data that we can then look at to make informed decisions about how to set up a cushion, select the right cushion, or to help an individual with their seating strategies. Are they going to do, what type of pressure reliefs are they going to do? And are they going to use a mechanical system like a tilt system, or are they going to lean forward, left, and right in order to get weight off of their ischial tuberosities and sacrum? Those are the three areas, left, right, ischial tuberosities, and sacrum, that we're typically most interested in. And then the secondary areas are typically the greater trochanters. There's a number of other areas, but those are the big ones. The interface pressure measurement tools, better known as a pressure mapping system, is one of the tools that I'll talk about in this course, and I've got videos on. And there's a couple other tools that we use out there, the Braden assessment, which is, like it says, it's for assessments, and then the push tool, which is a tool that can be used to quantitatively describe a pressure injury once that pressure injury starts to develop. The key in all this is identifying the right technology, configuring it correctly, and using it correctly. And that technology could be a seat cushion, it could be a tilt system, it could be a recline system. To help you out with this module, I created a couple of videos. I created a video demonstration that uses a pressure mapping system. And also in preparation for discussion number 2 and discussion number 3, which will be coming up in future modules, I included a video lecture describing the anatomy of a manual wheelchair. So that'll help you better understand what Jeremy is talking about in the video. This will give you the basic information that you'll need for the discussion posts. In terms of assignments, I have an anatomy of manual wheelchair quiz. It's really meant to be a formative quiz, so you'll have 2 tries to complete it. You also have the video case study introduction from video from Jeremy, and so you'll have to complete the discussion post, which includes all the assistive technology assessment variables from the background through the client goals. Remember, try to focus on seating and wheeled mobility. As you did with Kelly, when you were watching Kelly's video, please practice your observation skills. Think about what you learned in chapter 1 and write down not only what you hear, but also what you observe. Finally, I'm going to add an assignment later on this week that I think is going to help with the pressure mapping system, using the pressure mapping system. And so that'll be forthcoming. I created the video and I just need to put it into an assignment. So that'll be forthcoming. And of course, I'll give you an appropriate amount of time to complete the assignment. Lastly, I've got to talk about cool assistive technology and seating wheel mobility. The first one is that the International Seating Symposium is taking place January 30th through February 1st. If you have a chance to go to it, it's virtual. That would be great too, but I realize there's a cost to it. But I'm sure you'll see that there's a few people who are tweeting about it and talking about it in the news. So you can check that out and keep an eye out for that. There's a book I'm reading right now I'm finding very interesting. I thought you might like it. It's called Sitting Pretty by Rebekah Taussig. And so I've included some links to the book. She's a scholar in disability studies who uses a manual wheelchair, and her perspective is really insightful. There's a podcast I just learned about. It's called a Mobility Management Podcast. So there's a Mobility Management magazine. They also have a podcast. The podcast is hosted by Laurie Watanabe. It's a really fascinating podcast, but there's a specific episode I thought you might be interested in. It's the April 26, 2021 episode. And in that episode, Laurie interviews Pooja Viswanathan, who is the co-founder and CEO of Braze Mobility. She not only talks about what it's like to be a woman in an engineering field and to start a company in the field of assistive technology, but also talks a little bit about diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I think I thought it was a great podcast, and I thought you might be interested in it. In closing, hopefully this isn't too dated, but congratulations to the Cincinnati Bengals. For us in Ohio, that's a huge, huge deal. They won in the divisional round of the playoffs and are now going on to the conference championship game, and they'll be playing the Kansas City Chiefs. Who would have thought that we may have a rematch of the San Francisco 49ers, Cincinnati Bengals from Super Bowls 17 and 23. That goes way back in the Wayback Machine. I think I was in grade school and high school when that happened. But that would be really cool if San Francisco ended up playing Cincinnati in the Super Bowl. So we'll see what happens. And I still haven't gotten down something about Who Day. Yeah, I still can't. It's I guess Illinois in me can't quite figure that out, but it's exciting nonetheless. Reach out to me if you have any questions about the course. Have a great week. Remember to keep an eye out for cool technology. Post it in the discussion posts. And as always, I know I say this over and over, have a great week. Thanks.